I think I'm saying that we struggle all our lives to answer it. That it's the struggle that is important. That's what helps us to define our place in the universe.
This is Beverly, Dr. Beverly, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Look where we are. Here, all of us, in this moment. So let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at.
And this is Crusher Convo.
And welcome to Crusher Convo, where we're crushing the conversation one episode at a time. Today it is all about the Lower Deckers, or better yet, Mariner's Burden, as we discuss Season 4, The Inner Fight. I have a special guest, Emmett, with me tonight. Thank you, Emmett, for joining me.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. So we do have already one comment. We have Cyber Ghost saying, I'm not sure I'm drunk enough for this.
He might be right. I don't drink, so I have no frame of reference.
Neither do I, but it's fine. It's Friday night. It's my Friday. I think it's your Friday as well. So, cheers. I got my water. So there's my, herein to you, Cyber Ghost.
Trusty Gatorade Zero.
Perfect. And then we also have Sarah. Hi, saying hi, Jesse and Emmett.
Hi, Sarah.
Okay, so Emmett, real quick question before we get started. So what is your trek and why?
Oh my God, that is such a big question.
You're welcome.
I mean, that's a lot of it. DS9 Season 3 on is a great place to start. My first trek, the first episode of Trek I ever watched was Who Mourns for Adonai from the original series. I lived in a county in Pennsylvania. The town is called Plumsteadville, and it looks and sounds exactly what you think Plumsteadville would be. And the nice thing about Plumsteadville is it's in Pennsylvania, and it's way up high on a hill above the Delaware Valley, which meant we got the New York TV channels. And WPIX-11 in New York would show The Honeymooners, which I loved. And after The Honeymooners, at midnight, they would show Star Trek. And I was like, maybe I'll stay up late and watch that Star Trek show. And no one ever told me to go to bed when I was a kid. So I started watching Star Trek, and I was just like blown away. And I went to my Uncle Dave, and I'm like, there's this show you've got to see. It's called Star Trek, because I had no concept of what a rerun was. And he's like, I've seen every episode of that show. I'm like, how can that be? But yeah, like that was my first. And as a kid that was really into mythology, having my first episode being Who Mourns for Adonai, and the, ridiculous gesticulations of Apollo was right in my wheelhouse. Like I was primed for it, and I was good to go from there. Although my favorite Star Trek series is actually a book series. It's called Vanguard. Star Trek Vanguard. Oh,
interesting. Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah, there's so much Trek out there, even in the expanded universe. Like, I loved reading all of the books after I got into Star Trek, and the stories are so good. I wish they were canon, because they work so well with how our series, and the characters were, right? So absolutely love that. And of course, we have Chuck in the chat. Hello, Chuck. Thank you for joining. And he goes, Star Trek? ?
Star Trek? What's a Star Trek?
I think he's talking about Vanguard, what you had just mentioned.
Oh, yes. It's called Star Trek Vanguard. The first book is called Harbinger, and it's by David Allen Mack.
Oh, David Allen Mack is amazing. All right. So
he's great. I took him out for burritos a couple months ago.
Perfect. I'm huge David Mack fan. Dayton Ward, all those amazing. Fan. Yeah, just love them.
Oh, so, let me go through my list. I got I'm sorry, Dayton Ward, David Allen Mack, Keith DeCandido, Greg Cox, Kevin Gilmore, who writes with Dayton a lot. They're all fantastic people, and I do everything I can to promote their books when they come out. So,
oh, absolutely. I met Dayton a couple of years ago, And he was so fun to talk to, and he signed a couple of books, and I was like, I just got into Star Trek like last year. And so he was like, here we go. Like, he was just like,
Yeah,
let's get
I
you
saw
into it.
that.
Yeah, it was so, so cool. And I just went on Trekkommendations to talk about Coda because I was like, that
Okay.
was my recommendation. I was all like, you guys got to
Fair.
read this book. It's awesome. Now, before we jump into Lower Decks, I want to talk about my sponsor real fast. So, Cherry Tree Incorporated. Use my code CrusherCombo6 to get 6% off your order on BoardCube computers, Klingon keyboards, or even Lower Decks keypads. You can follow them on the socials at Cherry Tree Incorporated, and you can go ahead and buy all this stuff on their website at mycherrytree.com. All right. So,
That
in
sounds
order
great.
to get thank you. Actually, I have the little board right behind me with the cat on it. Got that at Cherry Tree.
Nice.
They took I sent them a picture of my cat Obi-Wan, and they made sure to paint it just like him. So in memory of my cat. It's so adorable.
That's very sweet.
Chuck also said he signed a book for me too. I believe he's talking about Dayton. Yes, Dayton's so cool.
Dayton always reminds me of, I think it's Sam Waterston's character on the Newsroom, who is, he's an older guy, but he gets into a fight with somebody, and he said, I'm a Marine, Don. I'll kick your ass. I don't care how many protein bars you eat. And that's very much Dayton, It's like he has put in the time in uniform, and he has no patience for nonsense, and I love it about him.
That is so true. I interviewed him last year, and yeah, that was basically our conversation. So let me show a clip of Lower Decks, The Inner Fight.
Command has new intel on the attacks from the last couple of months. They've all been non-Federation ships, but now someone's targeting ex-Starfleet officers.
Command has a list of civilians that need to be located and escorted back to Earth.
7 of 9, Beverly Crusher, Thomas Riker, and Nick Locarno. Oh my god, we're gonna meet Beverly Crusher?
No, the Vancouver has her covered. We have to find Locarno.
Who?
Mr. Locarno was drummed out of the academy for getting another student killed during a prohibited flight maneuver. Now, he's a pilot for hire.
You are concerned that he will precipitate more dangerous behavior from Mariner.
Exactly, which is why I need your help distracting her. She'll see it coming a mile away if she hears it from me.
Now, of course, this is a season where, all the Lower Deckers got promoted, and Mariner was having a hard time. And of course, in the beginning of this, she is making very reckless decisions. Everyone's worried about her. And at this point, we think that certain characters or like different species, Romulans, Klingons, whoever, are being killed, but they're actually being taken away, and we don't know why. That's the mystery of the season. Now, for this, I got so excited when Beverly Crusher was mentioned. I got so excited that Boimler is a Bevhead. He's even dreaming about her tap dancing. When this season came and you kind of see that there's something bothering Mariner, what did you think might have been bothering her besides that she just didn't want to get promoted?
Mariner is always the eye of the storm, generally. And when she's not, she is the storm. So everything about Mariner's life is tumultuous. Her romantic relationships with other people, they're on again, they're off again, they're weird. She even runs hot and cold with her friends. So a lot of it is kind of what happens when we put the eye of the storm in a pressure cooker. And that's how I feel about Mariner this season. Like, there's always that heart of gold, and that she's doing what she's doing for the right reasons, but you can also recognize that they're reckless and crazy. And T'Lyn delivers an incredible line in this episode. And Mariner's like, I could have taken him. And she's like, I am certain that you would have tried. And that is shade. That is incredibly Vulcan shade.
A very Vulcan shade.
Yeah.
I loved that. Well, it was funny because T'Lyn is trying to play along, right? Because they decided to do this fake danger mission. And
Right.
T'Lyn's trying to play along, but then all of a sudden she's all like, okay, we can't lie to you anymore. This is why we're doing this, right? Because in her mind, she's like, she's going to find out anyways. She's probably going to put herself in more danger. We got to stop it. But, I think for this, like I love the twist in the end. I wasn't expecting Nick Locarno to be the mysterious, bad guy. But I was very surprised that Mariner had this relationship with Ensign Cito that we saw from TNG and with Nick Locarno. And of course, she was also hanging out with Wesley Crusher. So here's this whole circle of Mariner that we didn't expect. But I feel like it makes sense because she's like, I wanted to be a captain. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. So I feel like part of the reason why she hated that she got promoted is because Cito didn't get that chance. She didn't get to be promoted. She stayed an ensign, and Mariner didn't want to surpass her. Didn't feel like she earned it. She felt Cito earned it more than she did.
Sure.
Did you get that idea when this episode was going on, especially when she decided to talk about her pain over the loss of Cito?
Yeah, and I think the scene in the cave with the Klingon is very instructive. It's funny that like sometimes you just need someone to tell you the way things actually are, rather than what you're building up in your head. And he made the case very plainly. It's like Cito Jaxa was an officer. She was doing the same job that I do or that you do. And you're crazy if you think that she would want you to feel like this. If you were actually friends, if you actually did care about her and she cared about you, she would never want you to feel this way. She would never want you to be filled with this pain and rage and anger over the service that you both agreed to do.
Absolutely. And this is actually a perfect little segue to showcase Mariner talking to Ma'a. We got to meet Ma'a here for the first time. And this was
he sticks around forever.
I love it. I loved him.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Klingon fan, but I definitely love him and his brother Malor. I'm just saying.
We're going to have words.
Oh, no. I'm so
you have
sorry.
any idea how many Klingon books I've made? Like 90% of my fans
Then
at conventions are people dressed up as Klingons. Yeah.
You might change my mind then. So there you go.
That's okay. Klingon hol vijat lachbe.
Oh,
That's Klingon for I don't speak Klingon.
That's perfect. I need to know that one. Let me play the clip of Mariner explaining her pain.
Run the clip.
Do the clip.
Not too long ago, I got a promotion I didn't want. I tried to get demoted, but my commander won't do it.
You must hate Starfleet.
That's the thing, I don't. Back at the academy, my dream was to be a captain. I modeled myself after this perfect friend. Cito was everything I wanted to be. I mean, she made some mistakes, but she rallied. She graduated ahead of me and was stationed on the Enterprise.
The Enterprise? I have heard tales of its triumphs.
Oh yeah, so did she. And it got her murdered by Cardassians. She didn't sign up to be a spy. She wanted to explore. It destroyed me.
The one thing that I noticed in that scene is that Mariner doesn't know that Cito chose to go on this mission.
She did.
Wasn't forced. Right. She was asked, and she wanted to do it for her people. And I kind of wish Mariner knew that because she was so broken over what happened. And the way she said Enterprise, like, oh, whoop-de-doo, because I think she has this blame towards the Enterprise, thinking they forced her to do this and they didn't. So that's a little piece of the puzzle that Mariner doesn't have. But I do love how this story connects and it makes sense for Mariner especially, because the Lower Decks episode is it's so sad. Like, I still cry watching it. I was very surprised when I saw it the first time, seeing that Cito, who was in, was it the
TNG episode Lower Decks?
Yeah, and then was in Lower Decks, but like the one with Wesley and then with Lower Decks. And so I think in the way that Mike McMahon just formed it the way that he did was just brilliant, and it was great storytelling, and it just made sense to the story of all the different shows. But and then of course in this sense, like the Klingon, Ma'a is trying to, like, You are an officer. So is Sito. Honor her memory.
Right.
Don't destroy it.
And also, if at all possible, honor yourself. It's not easy to become a Lieutenant JG in Starfleet. Ask Harry Kim.
Well,
I'm just putting.
yeah, but...
I'm friend. No. I'm friends with Garrett. Huge fan. Like I've known Garrett for years, but like it's hard to get Lieutenant JG. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah.
We know for sure that Barkley did it because he had to go through it to get where he was.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not hard to get JG. Also, you know, Worf's at JG for a while. So
yeah, no, for sure. In the chat, my cousin is here. Hello, cousin. Thank you for joining. Chuck did
Which
say,
one is your
I
cousin?
see the white cat. Omarane. She likes to pop in and support me. Chuck says, I see 4 inner fights.
The one thing that is kind of funny to me is, and I thought about this as I was watching the episode, and I actually took a note. And if you thought I was being mean to Harry Kim, you should see my notes, because he nowhere near got the worst of it. I essentially said that Nick Locarno is Stefan Urkel to Tom Paris's Urkel, because they're both Bobby, you know. So
yeah. What did you think of that twist? That Nick was the bad guy in the end.
I mean, I love it. I mean, it's very much in line with who he was from how we saw him in the first place. He had a point of view, and he didn't care who got hurt on his way to getting there.
An ego.
That's bad guy behavior.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
It was obvious even back in TNG, like he wanted the glory of pulling off that maneuver more than he wanted his friends to survive. And that's awful. Like that's an awful person. That's a person you don't want in your life. And the funny thing is we kind of see that mirrored with Lower Decks, where our main characters on the Lower Deck are always looking out for each other and worrying about each other and trying to make sure that everybody's okay. Especially when it's clear that no one's okay, you know? And I think that part of the subtext of this episode is like, well, you know about Nick Locarno, and now you see Mariner kind of going bananas as well. And could she end up like that? Yeah, obviously. She spent a lot of time in the brig, but she's not that person. Nick is, she's not. So
for sure.
I wouldn't ride shotgun in anything that Nick Locarno is flying. I'll fly with Mariner every day of the week.
Oh, absolutely. And his ego. He had a huge ego.
Yeah.
You could see that in First Duty. And Wesley didn't. And that's where they clashed. CyberGhost says, and he thought he deserved success. So when it slipped away, he still deserved it. And those who took it were wrong.
Yeah.
That is
it's funny
on
with
point.
The good thing about Star Trek is also a bad thing about Star Trek, in that there are a lot of people out there who are narcissistic douchebags who are willing to, and Trek fans generally are very upbeat, very positive. They want to make things happen. They want to help if they can in any way. And there are narcissistic douchebags in the Star Trek fandom that will, you know, just screw you around and take your money and not deliver their stuff. It's weird because it presents a target-rich environment to actual real-life narcissists. And I'm glad that shows like Lower Decks can show us a Nick Locarno, and TNG can show us a Nick Locarno saying like, hey, you know, if you're seeing some of this behavior, maybe get away from this person. I think that's good.
That's true. Yeah. And I had the honor of interviewing Mike McMahon last year while he was discussing about the final season, which was season 5. And I asked him after, you know, Mariner had gone through the story arc, what could we expect for Mariner in season 5? And so here's a little clip from my interview with him.
Mariner is free. Mariner is freed to be with not fighting her own demons in a way, you know, and what I really liked about this season is that when you reach a place where you're okay with yourself, it doesn't make you losing that doesn't make you less of who you are. It makes you more of who you are, And
Right.
so seeing Mariner be funny and chaotic, but not with that burden, makes her a better officer, makes her a better friend, makes her like it feels good to see Mariner like herself more.
So that's where I got Mariner's Burden, or Beckett's Burden, as I'm calling this episode, because we did see a whole different side to Mariner in season 5, and it was just like her shoulders were dropped. She had more just like, she didn't have that weight anymore because she dealt with the loss, and she has her friends. Like, she seemed very close to Sito and Nick and Wesley and all that, and at the academy. And maybe that's why she didn't want to get so close to, the ensigns that were coming on the Cerritos, because she was afraid of loss. But now she has her new team, but with Tendi and Boimler, excuse me, and Rutherford.
Boynes.
So Boymes, there we go, easy. And I think that was where she was learning, like, oh, I have my these are my family, right? The Cerritos is my family. This is where I belong. This is who I am. And even when Boimler was going through his own weird journey with the beard and all that stuff in season 5, she was calling him out like, are you okay? Like the tables turned, right? Because he used to be the safe one, and then she was the chaotic, and then they reverse, and she's like, whoa, wait a second, this is too weird.
Right. And she became the caretaker. So
Exactly. And she's much, well, I'm not sure about Boimler's age, but I know she's much older because she's just stayed an ensign. She didn't want to get promoted. So this was her way of just like finally letting that go and being able to be herself, which is exactly what Mike had mentioned. So it's such a great overall story.
I also think season 5 gives her the opportunity to fight her friends instead of fighting herself. Like, she has different enemies as time goes on in Lower Decks. Like, number 1 is her mom, So as time goes by, it's like, who's Mariner's enemy right now? And by season 5, she's fighting for her friends more than she is fighting herself. And found that that's a fight worth having. And the other ones aren't.
That's a great way of putting it. Now we have Ed from My Figure Universe here. He says Mariner's age is a bit of a mystery, as she was at the academy at the same time as Wesley. And Wesley was around 31, 2-ish or whatever at this time. So yes, that is definitely right. She definitely has to be in her 30s or something.
Let me tell you, it is going to be a nightmare if you think too much about this. Because I'm not kidding. You're going to find that, like, you're going to make a discovery like, hey, this doesn't line up, guys. Mystery Science Theater rules apply.
Rein it in.
Repeat to yourself, it's just a show.
Very true. I'm huge about timelines.
I don't know how old she is, but I love her. So
I'm huge about timelines just because I like to see where things are at, but like I don't like obsess over it. Because things do change. Like, trust me, the whole Jack Crusher thing, there's a whole mystery to that, and I would lose my sleep if I tried to think about it. So I don't.
This is where I find my healing place, and I don't say the thing that I just automatically want to say. So I'm just going to keep that to myself.
Just go, la da da da. There we go. So Ed says, I don't think we're supposed to think too hard about it, which, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
and Joel's also in the chat. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Joel. The nice thing about, I'd say the one thing that I do tell people, I'm mostly known for my work on Star Trek. Like it's going to be the first line of my obituary when I eventually go. A minor technical functionary on Star Trek, dead in terrible accident or something. There are hundreds upon hundreds of hours of Star Trek, and they are not all gold. They're just not. No one is a 100% success machine. But the nice thing about Star Trek is, like, depending on the kind of story you're interested in, if you talk to a Trek fan, they'll be like, oh, you want this season of this and this episode. And that can be your entry point into Star Trek. So, like, on one hand, it's like, whenever I see people saying like, hey, I'm starting my Star Trek marathon where I watch all of Star Trek end to end, and that just sounds like torture to me. Like, I love Star Trek. I love a lot of the cast. There's no one I've worked with on Star Trek that I don't like no one. So I'm just like, yeah, watch Star Trek, have fun. But it's a lot. It's a lot. And, but I think just as Star Trek fans, it's okay to admit this, to say like, maybe watching all of Star Trek is not the best idea. But you'll learn this after watching Star Trek. But what you'll want to do is reach out to people who probably know more than you do about a thing and seek their advice, and you probably won't go too far wrong.
No, that makes sense. I mean, when I started watching Star Trek 3 years ago, it started with TNG because of my husband. But then I got him to watch DS9 and Voyager because he had never seen it before. So we both got to watch it. And I saw a little bit of TOS. I'm almost done with Enterprise, but I haven't watched all of Star Trek because it's 940 plus episodes. So
yeah,
I'm doing my best. It's
plus
a lot.
Movies.
I have seen all the movies. Well, no, that's a lie. I haven't seen JJ's. It's fine. One day it will happen. But
they're fine.
I feel they're fine. I feel though that the Star Trek universe is so big. It's so huge. But we learn a lot from all these different characters. Like, I love TNG. I think DS9 is fine. Like, it's not one of my favorite shows, but there are definitely moments that we can learn from these characters of Cisco and Kira and Dax and all of them. So I enjoy watching from that aspect.
Dax can teach me a few things. I'm fine with it.
Esri or Jadzia, or both?
Oh, Jadzia. Sorry, I was off in my own little place for a second. I'm back.
Fine.
I'm on the show
reeling
again.
you back in. You're back. All right, sounds good.
I'm not sitting here wondering how far down the spots go. I'm committed to the podcast.
That sounds good. Now, Sarah says, my hubby and I are still working our way through TOS, but some of them are pretty, sorry to say, campy. I prefer TNG much better than TOS. Well, it was also in the 1960s. A lot of things were campy.
Sarah, well, now I'm going to fight you. Now I have to fight you.
Oh, no, Sarah, look what you did. Joel did say I've watched it all in 9 months in 2020.
That should get you... You know what, Joel, send me an email or something. I will 3D print you like some kind of ridiculous award that said, I watched 1 billion hours of syndicated television in 2020. But you know what, though? It was 2020. It was the pandemic. People were losing their minds.
It's true.
Like, I watched countless hours of miniature painting videos. And I love them. I don't paint miniatures. I don't play Warhammer, but gosh, it's very relaxing to watch other people paint minis. Also, motorcycle restoration videos are like, I loved them. I loved them to death. So we all have things that got us through the pandemic, and those were the things that got me through.
And Joel got through it with Star Trek. Of course, I don't know of anyone that's watched TNG, binged TNG as quicker as I have. I saw it in 2.5 weeks. The whole series. Yeah.
Like you're like Robert De Niro's secretary. Do you remember that? Like he fired her because she watched all of the seasons of Friends instead of working. And this actually started a fight over on the Conan set because Conan had an assistant named Sona Movsesian, and she still works with him. She's on his podcast. But she decided, you know what? I can get through Friends faster than she did at my job working for Conan, and she did. So
how funny. Yeah, no, February 11th, I started watching TNG, and I finished on February 28th, and I saw all 4 movies on March 1st, and then I dived into Gates' podcast on March 2nd. I was like, boom, boom, boom. I was in it to win it. Yeah, I was so into it. Now, Joel does agree. Mini painting is kind of relaxing. He agrees, yes.
I love that you're so focused on Cheryl, on Gates McFadden. in general. Everybody loves her. She is, I believe, this might not be true any longer, but I believe she's the only Star Trek cast member that can ride a unicycle still.
I'm sure she still can, yeah.
we'll have to, you know what? I'm going to put the word out. I'm going to talk to some people like, hey, anybody in the new cast, can you ride a motorcycle? Because Gates did, and she got to be in movies too, so maybe you should get unicycling. If you want that paycheck. Yeah.
We'll see.
If you can be as talented as Cheryl McFadden, then perhaps you can get a big paycheck.
But you know what? Jess Bush does that amazing artwork and stuff like that. So there's hidden talent along the cast in different ways. I know it's not unicycle,
That's true.
But still.
Actually, it reminds me of, you ever heard of Aldous Hodge? He's an actor. He was mostly known as the hacker on Leverage. And he designs watches. Like a horologist, he designs watches. And he was talking to somebody, he was like, hey, yeah, check out my watch. And somebody thought it was just like, oh, you got like a co-brand deal with somebody because you're a famous actor and like they wanted to put your name on a watch. It's like, no, he designs watches. It's for real. So like, it's always fun to find like those extra talents of people that are already talented, if that's something to say. But yeah.
Nice. Now, Ed does say, no one can ever say that TNG is not a gateway drug.
Well, okay, but you know what? Gateway drugs sometimes have overdoses, and sometimes you just wake up in the middle of another holodeck episode. So
that's true, especially
say
TNG.
no to drugs, kids, especially Ketracel White.
Oh my gosh, for sure. Oh man. Now, since this is a Beverly Crusher, centric podcast, the one thing that I did love about this episode is that Beverly Crusher was mentioned. Now, Mike McMahon did want Beverly in the show, but, unfortunately, there was scheduling issues. He didn't know how to really write her in, and then the show got canceled, got finished, so he didn't get the chance. So this was his way of trying to at least mention her, and did get Wesley for a smidge in the, what's it called? Flashback scene. There we go. I could talk. So the one thing that I noticed, though, because they were saying we got to go find these non-Starfleet officers or non-Starfleet people, we need to, find them, bring them back to Earth. Beverly, I believe, was already on Earth, because I remember her saying in Picard that she was in like London and all that stuff, but then I was like, but she already had Jack. Like, Jack was a baby at this time, so I was like, how did they hide this? Like, what did she do when they were like, hey, we got to make sure you're okay? She's like, I'm fine, leave me alone.
I don't know.
How did no one know?
I think about it just in terms of like, what do parents do now? And I think in a lot of cases, they have help. Sometimes they'll have a nanny. They'll have, maybe a grandmom that can help watch the kids, stuff like that. Like, I was raised entirely by women. I had a single mom. So like my aunt was there, my aunts were there, my grandmom was there. And that was just kind of our family unit. And I can easily imagine Jack growing up in an environment like that.
I think of that.
Not that we had nannies. We were poor. So.
Right. Yeah, neither did I. The thing is,
but it's the future. People can have space nannies. Like, they can have robot nannies if they want.
Android nannies. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Synths.
I do believe, though, that she did confide in a couple of people, and I wholeheartedly headcanon think that Alyssa was one of those people she confided in, and so I could see Alyssa watching Jack while she was like, "I'm fine." I love Ogawa. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they were so close. I was all like, Alyssa knew. It's fine. Joel did say that they had to stay in London so he can get that accent.
Yeah. Well, they just scooped his ass up from Downton Abbey. Like, they called it a day.
They really did. And then Sarah's like, Boimler was a bev head. Sure was. I loved the little dream sequence. He was like, teach me how to dance, Beverly Crusher. I was cracking up so hard.
Oh, I loved it. Also, like, just in terms of like historical pieces, like, there are times when characters on Star Trek do things that don't make any sense. And of all the episodes of TNG I've watched, I've seen Picard do this like 30 times, but I've only seen Beverly do it like once. So that's great.
No, Ed just answered the question. I think all space nannies should be named Rosie.
Absolutely, Mr. J.
Gotta love the Jetsons there. Happy Bookworm, thank you for joining. This is In Prodigy said several lives later, Janeway didn't know where she was, right? Oh, for Beverly, correct. She had no idea. They couldn't find her. And that was Prodigy happened like 4 years after that. So yeah, they had no idea what was going on.
Why are people in the chat losing their minds? They could have just had a tutor from England. The most English person in the entire world is somehow named Jean-Luc Picard and drinks tea. Settle down.
Pickard.
Just settle down.
No, Chuck said John Luck Pickard.
Yeah. He's about as French as. All right, I'm calm down. I'll be all right.
Get back in the zone. You got this. I have faith in you.
Yep.
Now I had to do a real quick tricorder rating, so I threw it on Threads, and you guys didn't disappoint. So I'm going to do our tricorder rating right now.
My tricorder.
So, good old 14 votes today, and I asked everyone to basically tell me what they thought of this episode out of 1 out of 5. And 57% gave it 5 friendly Klingons, 21% gave it 4 dreamy Boimlers, 14% gave it 3 manic mariners, and 0% gave it to 1 or 2 Nick Locarno. So definitely a high note for this episode. People did definitely enjoy it. And again, like we were talking about, it really was a good episode for Mariner's growth. It was really a good overall arc to kind of finish everything that we saw in those first 4 seasons to kind of push her into the direction she needed to be in season 5. So I absolutely loved it. Of course, I loved all the, Crusher references and stuff like that, but I did love the whole Nick Locarno twist. I thought that was brilliantly done. I loved how it, connected itself to Lower Decks. And yeah, I think season 4 out of all the seasons was probably my favorite with Lower Decks.
We can't really talk about this though without talking about Mike McMahon's trick. They have in screenwriting and playwriting, they have a concept called Chekhov's gun, which is if you have a gun on a mantelpiece in Act 1, it better be fired by Act 3. And the coolest trick of this episode was it is centered on Nick Locarno, who is not in it. And it's a great trick. It's a very great trick.
That is true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So he subverts Chekhov's gun for a more interesting twist, which is, it's Billups.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Chuck, yes, rest in peace to Sabrina Wood from the Sci-Fi Sisters who passed away this week.
It sucks.
I mean, the whole Star Trek community has just been, reeling over her loss, and we could feel her loss. And so, yes, my heart definitely goes out to her family and, of course, the Sci-Fi Sisters.
Can I just take a second?
Yeah.
I never met Sabrina to the best of my knowledge, but the Sci-Fi Sisters put together a lot of incredibly interesting stuff at an amazing clip. They do such a great job of getting their voices out there and saying something interesting. And I really appreciate them. And I'm certain they're going to miss her like crazy. And I'm praying for those folks that they can get through this and that they can find some solace. And if they need to watch all of TNG, they should. They're allowed. I'll sign off on it. Because I get people that ask me about Star Trek fans, like in real life, like, because they're like, oh, you worked on Star Trek for a while. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, so what are those fans like? And I'm like, you would trust 99.99% of them to watch your pets. Like, they're kind, thoughtful, and awesome. I am unbelievably gratified that me, a high school dropout with a GED, can eventually work on this thing that is appreciated by so many good people that are broad thinkers and they care about things, they take action, they don't just Star Trek has primed them to really reach out and do more with their lives than the normal, you know? Like, and when you see it in projects like this podcast, you see it in groups like Sci-Fi Sisters, like these people have jobs. They have families and friends and responsibilities. And they've decided that what they want to do is get together with their friends and share things they like with other people. No one has to do that work. That is entirely optional work. No one's getting paid a boatload of money to do that. In fact, most people aren't making anything to do that. I mean, I worked on Star Trek, but I got paid. Like, these people are actively trying to make a difference, and they're doing it by leading the way and showing people how it's done. And I hope that Sci-Fi Sisters understand that they are that kind of people. And I hope that they continue. That's all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I feel terrible for them.
When I first started, Sci-Fi Sisters was one of the first podcasts that I got into, and I believe it was, I can't remember which one of them had reached out first and was just kind of excited for my Trek, journey and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, it was a sense of community, which I never had before. I grew up watching Star Wars, so you guys can know there's no community in Star Wars, okay? Especially among the fandom. And it was the first time I actually felt seen and appreciated, and I was, they were so kind, and I learned a lot just from how they are on the podcast, how they talk to people, how they interview. So much fun. And like you said, they just embody what Star Trek represents. And, again, my heart goes out to them. And yeah, Sabrina is just going to be missed so, so much. Ed says, I think ultimately that's what we all want, is a better world. And if we can do our bit even for free, then that's what we're here to do. So yeah, but anyways, I'm going to go ahead and jump into my redhead alert. It is going to be Halloween time, or I like to call it Crusherween. In 2 weeks, I'll be discussing a fan favorite of TNG, Night Terror. So join me in the chat and let's get spooked. And of course, it is giveaway time over at Crusher Convo. Once I reach 1,000 followers on Instagram and 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I will be giving away an autograph of Gates McFadden to a very special listener. Please spread the word and share my content to help me reach my goal. And don't forget that you can submit a penny for your thoughts. Thank you. And don't forget you can submit a penny for your thoughts by recording a 60 to 90 second clip from crusherconvo.com, or you can email me your thoughts at crusherconvo@gmail.com, and I will announce your penny live on the air. And last but not least,
use that system.
Please do. I love sharing pennies. And my Patreon shout-outs go to Leslie and Dave, who are my Commander patrons, and Chuck and Engineer Mark, who are my Admiral patrons. If you would like to support the podcast and enjoy exclusive extra content, just head over to patreon.com/crusherconvo, and you can sign up for as low as $3 a month. So, nice. You know what? Thank you, Emmett, for joining me. Please let my listeners know where they can find you.
Well, I'm here at my home in Tempe, Arizona. I'm at 1110 West 17th Place. The zip code is 85281-6447. No, I'm on Blue Sky as Emmett.click. Find the Trek Fan Discord. I'm in there with a bunch of other nerds. It's so weird. I don't promote anything. Like, I don't have anything to promote. I have a huge Star Trek project coming up next summer, but the less we talk about that for now, the better. But yeah, making a fan film. It's going to be fun.
Nice.
But yeah, I would just, I don't want to promote myself, but what I would say is one of the best ways that you can develop your skills to do something interesting with technology, and that is that will put you in a place where you can be helpful to people in your community is to get yourself an amateur radio license. If you need any help, let me know. Shoot me an email. I'm tetrisblock@gmail.com. But there's a lot of people in the Star Trek community that have their ham radio licenses. Next month, Trek Fan is going to be at our local Ham Fest. And every single year we go, people are like, why is there a Star Trek group at the Ham Fest? And they're like, oh, it's because a lot of people who are into ham stuff also like Star Trek. It's like, yeah, that's why. So there's a lot of really interesting things happening in amateur radio right now. There's things that are happening with that you don't need a license for, like Meshtastic and Meshcore. I'm running a project right now to pull a map out of the sky and show every plane that's flying over my house. And I'm about 5 minutes from Sky Harbor Airport. Don't need a license for that, just a software-defined radio, and it's super, super fun. I would strongly suggest that anybody who wants to help out their community, learn a little bit more about technology, learn a little bit more about radio, definitely consider it. I cannot recommend it enough. Also, you're going to meet a lot of really cool people along the way. And they're probably going to be Trekkies too. So.
Awesome. I love that. Now, Ed just reminded me that he says, don't forget this Monday, you'll be boosting on the signal, which is, yes, I was on Ed's podcast. That will drop on Monday. And he says, just followed you, Emmett.
Let me block him. Hold on.
Now, before we go real fast, I forgot when we were mentioning the whole Klingon stuff, and I can't remember his name, but he was hanging out with Garrett at STLV. But I got this Keep Calm and Klingon. Nice. So that's my way of appreciating the Klingon. I was like, I'll take it. It's fine.
The Klingons are, like, as I've said, I don't drink. But when the Klingon fans show up to a convention, they're always in full armor, and they are always bringing alcohol with them. And like
blood wine, we gotta have it.
At least 4 times, Klingons have just come up to wherever I am and be like, "Hey, you Klingon stuff?" Like, yeah, I do. Let's do shots of blood wine. I'm like, all right. That's fine. So, like,
sure.
If somebody's like, have you ever had alcohol? It's like, last time I had some blood wine with Klingons in the basement of a hotel.
Like, does that count?
But the Klingon fans are some of the most interesting people you'll ever meet. Like,
right.
A lot of them are ex-military. A lot of them are security guards. A lot of them are martial artists. They're very gruff, and they are often insane, and they can and will drink you under the table, but they are uniformly kind. I love them.
Right. No, I mean,
like,
and
even
like you said,
now, like I'm thinking back to Denzel Miracle, who was a Klingon fan from Louisiana, and he came out to see me at a con. He had a car and the license plate said Qapla'. He's passed on, but I miss him all the time. Like, anytime there's something new that's Klingon, I'm like, I wish I could reach out to Denzel and tell him something new. But like, you build these friendships over time, and it sucks when people go through that loss, and that's why I'm really feeling for the Sci-Fi Sisters this week. So
for sure, yeah. It's like I said, the Star Trek community feels the loss. Now, Joel did say even Spock did some blood wine, and you know what? Beverly Crusher also loved her blood wine, according to Picard season 3. She drank all of it at Guidance Picard. So, but anyways, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Appreciate Emmett for joining me tonight. And
thank you so much for letting me be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. Live long and prosper, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Crusher out.